答えは常に塔の上にある。
間に合ったな。アリーナに売店ぐらいあるよな。
After school.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Webtoon segment of the podcast. A lot of stuff to dive into here. First and foremost, let's go ahead and go into Tower of God chapters 79 to 81. And here we're really seeing Bam showing what he's all about, fighting White here, also trying to protect this girl Arya. The little end that we got with White trying to provoke Bam to get angry here. I don't know, do you guys think he really ate those guys' souls? Because I think he's just using that to bait Bam.
I don't know. It's been too long to actually recall. This would be a simple thing of going back and rereading. I feel like he had something to do with it, though, with their deaths. It feels familiar. I will say that. It feels like White had a hand in their disappearance. Like, I know, they're both dead. I don't remember how exactly.
Yeah, it's been a long time since we saw these guys. That is true. I don't remember. I'm like, wait, which guys were these again?
Who are we talking about again?
Prince is the...
Oh, Prince and Mr. Akraptor?
Akraptor?
Akraptor, yeah.
So yeah, White had killed them both.
Yeah, in your reread, you saw he did kill those guys?
Yeah, so basically, I don't know if, just to refresh your memory, what ended up happening was Akraptor and Prince were trying to double-cross White and Rachel, because this is when Rachel was just barely starting to work with White. And they were pretty much trying to use Wang Ning's plan to use the Shinsu bomb to get them to separate. And I don't know if you remember, but that plan didn't end up working out. And so he ended up eating Prince inside, and then he was going to eat the little girl. And then Akraptor was like, you can eat me instead if you let her go. Okay,
I kind of remember that, yeah. That was a long time ago. Well, cool, man. Yeah, so I'm wondering if Bam's going to attack or not, because, he holds all of his friends near dear to his heart. And now that he knows what he has to do, right, he's not really holding back on enemies in this season. So I wonder if he's going to waste his turn here, miss the jump, or is he going to fight White?
I feel like Arya's going to talk some sense into him. She's like, yo, we need to go. But plus, for her own survival, too, she knows this guy is like... Both of these, White and Bam, are both some fucking on some other level. So it's her survival instinct is kicking in to be like, yo, I need to stick with him, and for me to stick with him, he needs to not be crazy with rage.
Yeah, she's keeping an eye on Bam because she's really tripping out. And I made a comment the other day. I was like, yeah, I guess a lot of people won't know Bam isn't a regular, huh? Like, that's not no news. Because she's like, how can a regular, keep up with a high ranker like White? And it's like, it's because he's an irregular. The rules don't apply to him the same way.
It's not anything new. So, like, when somebody finds out that he isn't a regular, it's kind of just like, yeah, you're kind of just late to that party.
Yeah, for real.
I think it's kind of funny how we just never get to a point where people don't just immediately assume that somebody like that would be an irregular. Like, the only people who thought like that were, like, Kun in the very beginning. Right as, Bam, got stuck on the other side of the Shinsu wall when Liroro did his little test, and he's just like, yeah, it could be. But it was just, maybe, a 5 or 10% chance in his head. You know what I mean? But he still thought about it, which counts. Compared to, everybody else that we've seen who's come across Bam, and, Bam just doing weird shit at weird times. And nobody's just like, that's a weird regular.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I feel like nowadays everybody's like, oh, he has to be a regular. Especially now with a battle between a bunch of rankers and high rankers.
Well, you also remember he beat that ranker in the test. I think that would have been a good time for them to say, actually, yeah, he's an irregular. He's a threat to the tower and Jihad.
Yeah, lore-wise, yeah, I believe that. But, there's no way in hell that his particular test would be, spread around, oh, dude, this guy is definitely an irregular, just by looking at him. His face isn't on posters,
Well, I'm saying, because of that, that would have been a good reason to say he's an irregular, he's a threat, right? It wouldn't have been those rankers saying it, but, somebody else from Jihad's army that knows But anyways, yeah, Arya, man, she's showing off some net-based code over here, right? She don't got rollback. She got delay-based here. She's got a clock that breaks the tower's rules, which again, I'm like, damn, Yasracha really has some stuff that he's not supposed to have.
Yup. Illegal.
Yeah, it was a little confusing at first on how she was explaining it, because like she kept losing her arms. Like, well, because I have this delay code. I'm like, is this King Crimson? Is that what's going on here? We're just skipping shit so that way she doesn't keep losing her arm?
The way that she explained it kind of confused me. But for the most part, she can regenerate like her left arm, because I think the only arm that she can't do is her right arm. Like whatever she uses to activate the wall, like the clock.
Isn't it a brace, like a band on her? Isn't it a band on her arm?
Yeah, Omnitrix, yeah.
I don't know. They all got that curse shit. And like, I don't know, White took care of the other one. So there's like 3 left, including that girl. But like, I don't know if she's going to be able to recover her arm. Like, especially after White, kind of leveled up his little fucking swordsmanship shit. Did that Wolfgang style.
Well, the only reason she was able to regenerate it was because she still had enough delayed time saved up. And that's why she was hesitant to use all of it in that last attack, because then she would be vulnerable after that. There wouldn't be any more delay time. Yeah, it's just an interesting tool to get into here. It's more of that wacky abstract stuff that's like in the early tower days that you hear about.
Wouldn't she have just created more time now, though, with this last attack just missing, right as he was announcing that whole thing?
Yeah, it's weird, man. I don't know.
If it gets to be too confusing, like, especially for certain characters, I don't even question it. I just write them off. I'm like, I don't even care about it anymore.
She also has a lot going on right now, like ability-wise. I mean, she has that choker around her neck. I mean, collar on her arm too. That's I don't know if I don't remember reading that from the past chapters, if that was prevalent or not.
Yeah, but the left bracelet, yeah, that is on her left arm, so that's why she could bring it back specifically. Okay.
She got some Kizaru speed of light bullshit, so it's kind of hard to get a grip of what's actually her ability versus what's a tool.
She has the speed because of the time delay thing. By delaying White himself, she's able to be perceived as super fast.
But that only worked for
super strong legs.
God, it didn't even work for more than one chapter.
Yeah, well, because White figured out the timing on the delay. Yeah.
You know what else I thought he would have done? Honestly, I thought he would have done like a multi-strike, like a multi-slash wave stuff, and just kind of figured out how many, from what seconds that he fired them off, like how long would it take him to reach them and
this
stuff.
Guy figured out the delay.
Yeah, he just kind of did it like he did math in his head. That's what he did.
Yeah,
him
and Bam, they do ranked matches online, bro. I think
he does. He does what I think every Smash player does online, dude.
Yeah, they just figure out the gaps. Yeah. Because even Bam figured it out after watching for a little bit.
Well, that's true, but that's his shtick, though. Like that's
he
what
just
he
learns.
does.
I can see it, and then White's like, "Oh, me too."
And she's like, "What the fuck, man? I just want freedom. I don't know how to deal with this shit." Yeah, so that'll definitely be the main focus for the next chapters, as we see pretty much the Doom and Yasracha stuff gets resolved here, as Doom gets Yama, excuse me. Yama gets his ass kicked by Yasracha, man. Holy shit. I was liking the fights because I was like, oh yeah, we're getting like close quarter stuff, just pure hand to hand, and then I was like, okay, that was good while it lasted. But yeah, it was a pretty intense fight. And then see, I got confused. I think I was talking to Adam. I was like, but wait, I thought, because we see Yasracha go full transformation, I thought we saw that with Yama already in the cage arc, but I guess that wasn't a full transformation.
No, compared to what we saw now, I believe that he's gonna basically reevaluate what it means to have a complete transformation, or he's gonna ascend the transfer. Well, yes, essentially, this is the two things I'm saying is the same thing. Like he's gonna ascend the transformation that he already has, and then like become absolutely complete. I mean, did we really see Yama 100%? It was like Yama like 50% complete. I don't think it was 100%.
There was a lot,
right?
I will admit, there's a lot of transformations.
Double checking in the wiki, yeah, he has that form where he gets the white hair and he has like those giant knife things floating behind him. that's considered his full transformation, but I guess it's still behind what Yasracha does.
Okay, I just didn't know if he already went full power or if he just went like halfway like Frieza does.
Well, but he did do partial transformations because he has to build it up. Like, he can't just go full transformation like Yasracha does, because as we find out, they are limited compared to the cat people.
I think that he might end up breaking that limiter somehow, or if like super far stretch. I think that if they kind of focus on Bam's weird quirk as an irregular to like remove the rules on everybody or remove the rules that are placed on people, right? Because they're focusing on that a lot more, especially now. I think that they might be able to, work away some kind of quirk where he like has to like bend the rules around Doom, since Doom is like the original, or like Tayama, and like unlock that I want to say like the direct lineage power.
Yeah, and that makes sense because the black hole sphere that Bam uses is very important, especially late stage, right? As we're dealing with more and more powerful things, like, oh, actually, this technique Bam has is a real threat to a lot of things that we're going to be dealing with coming forward.
I still feel like that move in itself is still like very basic. The way that he learned that move, he's like, this is a move that every, direct descendant knows. Like, not direct descendant, but like every, 10 family leaders knows. Like, this is like the basic move of all like controlling Shinsu to your own will kind of move.
Yeah, but because I think it's because he's an irregular, right? And that he doesn't have to follow the rules from the administrators, that he's able to add that extra bit of just breaking spells and stuff because that's his innate ability, the blue Thrissa that's in him.
Yeah, no, I wasn't doubting that. I was just saying, like, like just based off what it can do, like I wonder like what more is there like that they can put up on top of that black hole? Like if there was an advanced royal move, like what would that look like? What would that be? You know what I mean? Like I wonder like if they're gonna dive more into some of the other stuff that they had going on, where it's just like he can have elements and he can like shape the Shinsu into like certain weapons and stuff like that. So it'll be an orb for now until he picks up on something else. And well, it did already turn into a bow at one point.
Yeah, well, that comes from his arsenal that he has, right? Like the whole bow thing, that's because he was using the souls, and that's why that was able to work like that. He manipulated the souls into a bow and then I guess added the black hole stuff to it. So we'll see. We have the shield with the blue Thrissa, and then we get the thorn, and I guess the sword too, right, with the red Thrissa. Viral hit, which is the next one we could get into here, they're still ahead, but not for long, as I caught up right to the chapters, which are 72 to 75. I was looking at the fast pass chapters and I looked, I'm like, oh, moving forward, we're not getting one a week on these chapters anymore, or 2 a week on the chapters. We're only getting 1. And because I looked, the furthest one is 85, and I double checked over it for the Korean one, and they're at 91. So we're 6 chapters behind. And so I figured, like, yeah, it's going to be a matter of time before we catch up over there. Reading these chapters, I understand why Viral Hit just hits different than Lookism now. And it's that Viral Hit, it still has that hype energy in there, where Lookism is all about the drama when it comes to the fights. Because, man, these final moments where Hoban is just wrecking Jisoo, man, that was so good.
I was thinking that the fight was going to end up being longer, actually, but I think it was the right amount of time. What did he really do it in 2 minutes? I don't really know how long it took, like, canonically, but just the fact that he was able to do it like so effortlessly, and not a lot of things had to happen, to kind of make shit go south like it did for the boxer fight.
Mm-hmm.
I really liked this fight. I liked his practicing. I'm not gonna lie, the ballerina shit. I've seen a ballerina's foot, like a professional ballerina's foot. Like, that shit is gnarly. Like, I would understand, like, exactly where he's coming from to push your feet that fucking far and not have it completely fucking snap. That shit is crazy, dude. Like, mad respect to him, like, going out of his way because he wants to tear that contract up for his mama.
I think the fight here was to mainly show even further that Hoban is no longer an amateur when it comes to fighting. Right? We're getting the recognition from a lot of people. They're like, oh, you dummy, you barely learned the basics. There's no way you could beat this guy. But actually, he still had more things up his sleeve. That did catch me by surprise, like him digging his elbows into Jisu's knees. I was like, oh, yeah, that's cool. I wasn't expecting that. And then, of course, him biting the feet, too. I was just like, yeah, that makes sense because it's a street fight. You know, that's always been the thing when fighting people that train for the sport is that, like, oh, they're not too savvy with street rules most of the time. So that was pretty good. And then finally, out of nowhere, we get the hard confirmation Logan Gracie is the Chicken Man.
Yeah, that's good, man. I mean, now we know he's the real deal, and he's also a pervert. But at least now we know. Now,
he's great.
It was funny. I was reading it, and Gerry was right here. And right when I got to the I guess not panel, but like to the part of the webtoon, I just read it, and I didn't read the bottom text yet. I'm like, oh my god, is he about to reveal it's somebody else? And then we got the confirmation. I'm like, okay, cool. Hell yeah, man.
It's a great time. I always remember bottom text.
Bottom text, yeah. I wonder if that's going to be brought up after this, when we have more downtime. If, what's his name? If Munsung's going to hit up Hoban and be like, hey, so I overheard my coach yelling in excitement that you watched his videos or something, you know?
Did he pick up on that, or was he just talking to himself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it could just be that thing, too, where he's talking to himself, but, you know, he is yelling in excitement at the same time. And I got to say, I was surprised that Mangi lost the arm wrestling match, but it was to just hype him up even further into his huge surprise of him fighting the younger brother, Hyoksu. And I was like, oh, dude, no fucking way. He learned boxing.
Big dude like that, learning boxing. It's a lot of weight behind a punch.
Did any of you guys recognize the older brother with hair? Yeah. I didn't recognize him at first until I saw the flashback.
Yeah, I knew it was him, and then it actually took me a second. I was like, oh, yeah, he grew out his hair. Okay. And that was a surprise, too, that he went to him. And I was like, oh, I knew it. I knew he was going to come back at some point. I wrote his name down. Was it Wangguk? Wangguk? Wang. Yeah, Wang for short, yeah. But yeah, that was cool that he learned boxing and just mopped the floor with Hyoksu, man. I was like, hell yeah. And my favorite part of those few moments was how they added the motion blur to the comments on the stream as they were just all caps yelling Mangi's name. I'm like, that's how you hype it up, dude. Hell yeah.
It's like he's in the middle of a ring, boxing ring.
Yeah. And of course, man, they're keeping the humor even in these tense moments as Mangi grabs Hoban from being thrown, and then you just see his toupee fly off and then fly back on his head.
It's great. Good stuff.
Yeah.
Catch it with no hands, man. It just literally laces itself back into place. I don't even know. I like the little thing that he does. You know, the constant joke about Hoban and money. He's like, I'm going to delete the channel. He's just, he's such a brave man. Gonna make so much money. He's just in the bathroom, fucking just.
And he starts crying.
Like, I can't believe I'm doing this shit.
Yeah, that was good.
I think the comments were there too. Like he's always. It's weird, no matter what. When what's that Blanket's name again?
Who's Snapper?
Snapper. Yeah. Whenever Snapper is around, whether he actually has the cameras in his hand or not, I feel like those comments are always there. So it's always being recorded. Just as long as he's on the fucking panel. But yeah, that's what it was like. Because I think that somehow the comments were on. And like he was like, yeah, I fucking hate Hoban even more. Look at him crying in the bathroom.
Oh yeah, they were streaming the meeting. Yeah. No, but it was great, man. And like I told Gerry earlier today, I was like, oh, that was great how they wrapped that up. Because we get the random phone call. And it's the girl at the jiu-jitsu club. I was like, oh, that's nice.
That's real nice.
Yeah. Because like I was like, oh, we didn't see her at all. You know, I figured, oh, then she's not going to pop up ever again. But just that one moment, I was like, that's all we needed for that.
Oh, she'll be back. I guarantee it. She's going to be involved sometime in the future now.
You think so? Because her arc is over, man. Like, the fact that Hoban and them never even talked to her, I think that's all we're going to get.
If I can say anything, is that I know for sure the author, they have that taste, that peculiar taste for always keeping a character or two in the back pocket for whenever something goes down, for whenever kind of random moment we're going to come into. It doesn't surprise me that at one point we're probably going to meet this girl under a different set of circumstances altogether. Like, she's just going to be some random girl, and we're going to know her for a while, and then it's going to be revealed that she was that same girl. And we're not going to even realize. I bet that's what's going to happen. But it wouldn't, you know what I mean? Like, it's just, I always feel like with these kind of characters, especially the ones that go through the most traumatic things, those kind of characters are going to be around for some sort of purpose. Whether it's to kind of further Hoban's, like, his own character progression, or if it's like going to basically help get the business in a direction somewhere when they're fighting somebody, or just to get an upper hand or learn something new, or maybe even to learn new perspective, whatever. You know what I mean? But I just believe that those are the kind of things that we've just kind of come to understand about this author, especially in Lookism. So I'm kind of thinking that he's going to do the same thing in Barrelhead at some point.
No, that's fair. That is something Pac likes to do in both of these series. I mean, I was telling Gerry when Wang showed up, I'm like, I knew he was coming back and he was going to be, you know, more or less hanging out with Hoban's crew, because that's just what he likes to do. I'm still going to say no for this girl, only for the fact that she never met any of the main characters. And I don't even think we got a name for her either. I love that he brings in the humor still in between these like big moments of the story, as we get the prank that Rumi's doing to Hoban with the shower stuff.
You got punked.
I'll let you guys know, man, I am ready for this next arc. It's going to be so fucked up, but I'm here for it, man.
This is what we're here for. I mean, look, the savagery and the brutalness of Lookism is like,
it's coming in.
I guess it brought us here, dude.
You know what really surprised me? I don't know, maybe I'm still tripping, but if I remember the panels correctly, especially the last panels for the current chapter that we're on, he's adding those words to his face. He's not removing.
Yes.
He's not removing concealer. He's adding them to his face with like some sort of mascara or pencil or whatever. And I'm like,
not real tattoos. Yep.
And I'm like, why? And I thought to myself, why is that the easier choice for you?
I know.
If you have to do that every day. How is that the easier choice? Like,
every fucking time, dude.
I'm like, the octopus, I know you're not going to make go away. I don't know how you, like, he was just wearing the shirt, but I know he has it up to his neck. I'm like, that has to be concealed.
No, it's like, it's on his cheeks. It goes all the way up to his sideburns.
What the fuck? So he was wearing makeup. I mean, like, it was obvious to me, at least when I first saw him. I was like, oh, like, we're just going to meet some other guy. And you know what? It shouldn't, as I was reading this whole thing, and like, what is it, her name? Rumi,
yeah,
right?
Rumi, yeah.
Yeah, Rumi was having that conversation with
Wang.
Yeah, with Wang. Yeah, so
or write him
she was
down.
having that conversation. Yeah, right, that's true. And she was having that conversation with Wang, and she was just talking about, like, hey, you know, like, all I need to do is just meet a young guy who owns a building. That's very specific. And lo and fucking behold,
there he is.
What happens as a plot device? There he is. There he comes.
There he is.
Like,
244, he knows exactly everything that he needs to do for this. As I was reading the chapter, right, as we see, like, oh, he's the one that set up the whole wedding photo shoot that Rumi's going to. He's the one that made sure Wang got hired so they could meet, you know, because that's going to be a thing, as we saw with the art, right? Clearly the coffee makes the heart shape over them, and Wang does catch feelings. This is the long play 244 is doing right here. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's how I know this is going to get fucked up.
He's going to cuck him?
No, I don't know. Probably cucking. I don't know. Like, there's going to be a little bit of that, but more like psychological shit, too.
Yeah, that's definitely cooking.
Yeah, all the good fucked up things we see in Lookism, like, it's starting to creep in over here with this guy. We didn't get to reveal what his other real job is, as Jisoo was saying, but I'm sure we're going to be getting that in this arc at some point. And all I got to say is, man, I felt bad for Wang as 244 came in all cleaned up, gave Rumi coffee, and then you just see him holding the coffee cans behind his back. I was like, yeah, I feel you, man. And then I told Gerry, too, I was like, of course Rumi coffee feelings for Hoban. It's obvious. Because most shonen series, as we know, eventually, one way or another, there is a certain level of it being a harem. The one thing I like here that Pac likes to do with the writing is that he makes the girls smart, and they understand right away that they don't have a chance. because he's just so distracted by Bomi, as we got the comedic moment where it's like, you'll snap right, I'm actually talking to Bomi for like 15 minutes, bro. And then her accepting like, yeah, there's no way there's room for me in there. And then same thing with Gil, you know, like she understood like very early on, but they can't help liking him, but at least they're smart and they're not going to get like super depressed or whatever when they get rejected or they let go of those feelings.
Or, you know, they probably will.
There's going to be a shot of Gil crying for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's going to suck. Yeah, it'll be a while before we get there because, as we know, the snail pace that Hoban has with trying to get closer to Bomi, as she just doesn't really show up that often, right? So,
and I wonder if that's for any particular reason. For Lookism, you know, we haven't seen Crystal in a long time either, and we just already have these places inside of our head for these characters. Like, oh, Crystal, you know for sure, is the main heroine. Because she's going through the same exact thing as Hoban. You know, they had that little tiny arc, those little couple chapters where they're having that same mindset for the other person and their alter egos. Like, it was just all there. But, you know, when it comes to how she actually fits into the story, she doesn't. That's why she's not there. And now I feel like it's kind of the same thing for Bomi. So I'm really wondering, like, you know, like, what kind of place are they eventually going to have? You know, when they do have to be written in, when it is supposed to be revolving around, you know, their relationship building and, you know, so forth and so forth. Is it even going to make sense? Is it even going to be good? Like, are we just going to have like a segue where you're just going to do something fun and witty for a second before like you run into somebody and there's a problem? Like, I'm tired. Like, I mean, don't get me wrong. Like, that sounds cool. Like, I'm sure that's what's going to happen. But, you know,
we could write this shit, dude.
I'm sure you've talked about that more than once, right?
Yes. It's easier for Crystal for sure, writing wise, because she's actually involved in one way or another with the stuff that Daniel's trying to take down. So eventually that crossover will come where she's relevant to the story again. Jesus. But with Bomi, yeah, the only thing I could see is if Sungjun gets super desperate and then involves her as well, right? Because Hoban's trying to get his mom out of the contract he gave her, and eventually maybe she gets broken out of the contract, but then it's like, well, I still want to fuck over Hoban because he's been pissing me off, so let's go attack Bomi now, or let's go do something with her. Because yeah, again, like it will be hard to bring her into the story at this point, right? Because she's just not necessary right now. Like they don't even like they don't go to the same school. And they don't even work together anymore, right? So she's just kind of like in the distance that Hoban kind of like every now and then will call or text. I mean, I'm patient for it. Adam, you know, he's not here, but he reads the paid chapters, the fast pass ones, and I guess she shows up soon. So we'll see where that goes. See how much downtime we have, really, I guess, for this arc coming up before we start hitting the shit fan here with 244 fucking over Rumi and them. I will say this, Oscar, just going through the chapters again, we do see 244 taking a shower, and there's no tattoos on him when he gets out, and then we see him drawing on his face, and then he has everything on there. So
body.
Maybe, unless it's like, I think they do that in like movie production too, like for prosthetics and stuff.
One
like
person though.
They just have printouts that you just like overlay onto your body and then kind of work off of that. So maybe like the big chest octopus tattoo is just a thing he could just stencil on.
I just think it's waterproof concealer.
I mean, yeah, he does. His channel is all about beauty and all that stuff, right? So, but as we see, he needs to not have the tattoos. Whatever this other thing is, he can't have them.
My only problem with that is that the reason why he writes them on his face makes sense. It makes sense to me, and that's why it makes me upset, because he is a beauty artist and he is a professional, so he does it so well every single time he needs to do it, which is pretty much every day because it's marker, so it's just going to smear. And I just think that that's stupid. I just think that that's straight impossible. Even for a manhwa, I just think that that's really stupid that he has to do that every day.
It's the anime side of Viral Hit. It's a good plot device. That's what it really is.
I hope there's a reason.
No, I think there is, because if I had to guess, his other job is probably him being in the MMA because he has cauliflower ears.
Yeah, I see that too. I remember that.
Yeah, you do get that from jiu-jitsu, but we just had Hoban fight somebody who does jiu-jitsu, so it has to be something more. Only they could think of is MMA, like high-level MMA probably going to be the big problem that Hoban's going to have to deal with after that.
I think it might be a weapon user.
I would think so too, just because of how crazy he is. And I would like to see that because, like, I think I mentioned that before. Like, oh, if one of these guys uses a weapon, how is Hoban going to tackle that? That's something I do want to see. Yeah, viral hit, great as always. It's keeping it strong, and I want to see more of this Wang and Rumi action going on. I think we're going to be seeing a lot more of that.
I hope so. I think it's going to be a lot of like putty in 244's hands though. So I'm hoping that we get a lot of time that's not from the perspective that it's all going to work towards his plan. Like something outside of the realm of ideas that can be discussed. I'm also thinking that with that, we're probably going to see a lot of interference and intervention from Gale, because like that's her arch nemesis right there. Well, she hates both of them, but she really hates those. She also really hates Rumi. So she's like, nah. She's like, nah, don't stick your dick in that.
I think we will see them like actually meet by themselves at some point because as Wang mentioned that like I want to be behind the camera, but I don't have an opportunity right now. And she's just like, well, here's this one photo here, and it's like, don't catch feels, and it's like as you say it, he's catching them. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're gonna get together and do some photos or something, and then something's gonna happen. He's gonna get fucked up. It's just gonna be good. That's all I'm saying, man. I'm ready for this. I'm ready to get a little darker in the viral hit world. Well, right on, man. Let's dive into Lookism chapters 347 to 349 as we're getting our downtime and we're starting the new arc that is gonna be picking up the pace really fast. Right off the bat, we gotta say, DG is the guy who is gonna be really important coming soon. He knows everything, I think. Just off this little conversation he has with Daniel, the fact that he knew that is not Hot Daniel, but the Fat Daniel is a big key to it.
I don't think anybody would have caught that shit unless this is just something that we're fresh off of reading. Nobody would have noticed. It's like a DG's only met the other Daniel. Mm-hmm. They had to, explain that in the story. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's shit. Because I like, bro, buddy, I've been reading this for so long. You probably could tell me. You could have told me anything, and I would have believed it at this point. You know what I mean? One of the other things is I'm super sure that my hypothesis is still on the table. I think DG and what is it?
I don't remember the kid's name with the pink hair.
The kid with the pink hair, the genius, one of the 10, one of Choi's geniuses. Anyway, yeah, that kid. I think I was saying before. I'm always saying this, but I think DG and him are alter egos, the same way that Daniel Park has two bodies and so does Crystal. Now that we get to see the head of workers. Who, for a while, I was the one that was always saying this, but I thought it was, another guy named Daniel, right? Because that's kind of what we were going based off of when we saw that chapter with Charles in his old apartment having that conference.
The fourth guy.
We never saw his face, but his name was Daniel Park, and then we see this guy who's dressed like him, looks like him. His name is Eugene. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm like, oh shit, like who's this? Maybe this is like the next boss of workers. If this isn't him, or he's using a fake name.
I don't think he looks the age though. He looks like around like all these kids' ages, like late teens. Especially because he's the head of workers, right? Workers isn't supposed to be known in the adult world.
He could be one of those 10 geniuses.
That's true. Same thing with the big guy that's bigger than Gerry Kwan, which is crazy, right?
Yo, that's wild.
Yeah.
And then we got this other guy with the hat, and I'm like, we're going to get a reveal of him, and then it's going to click, and it's like, yo, somebody met that guy in the past, dude. Holy shit. That meeting was tense. A lot of things being played here on all three sides, really. I mean, of course, Hostler's like, we don't want to deal with any of this shit. Let's just leave us alone. Yeah, and then, oh, man, you really feel it with Johan. In this one, like, I looked and I was like, oh, he's actually drawing Johan with his eye color differently on just one.
It's all grayed out, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Poor kid still is like having a hard time hitting. I feel like he's gonna be. I forgot the guy's name from Mortal Kombat, but the dude with the
blind guy.
Yeah, the blind guy.
Kenshin.
Kenshi.
Yeah, I think
Kenshi. Like he's gonna be like that because he's gonna start using his senses or whatever, like a dog with his nose or something like that. And then just fight with that, But the fact that this guy had the balls to just come in and say, "Yeah, I'm gonna beat the fuck out of everybody in here. That's what I came here to do." Everybody just started fucking wailing on this dude.
Good reveal of him, like actually just missing Eugene completely. Like, it's so blurry, his eyesight, which is crazy how fast it happened, because he was fine just a few chapters ago. Like, not like totally fine, but just enough to where he could still kind of see. And then, of course, like, everyone's shocked, and then he just sees Samuel's face like, yo, he can't see. Fuck,
are you
yeah.
fucking serious? Yeah, that's...
It's something that was pointed out to us. We just didn't really take it... We took it for granted. You know, because Zach said it during the last conference.
Not me. That shit shocked my world when Zach found out that, like... When we all found out that fucking he was going blind, I was like, no! And Zach was like the same. So
the crazy thing is how fast it's progressing, because you know it's you know, to be fair, it's pretty much happening at an unreasonable pace. But no, like, it's like you're saying, when you got shocked that he mentioned it, but he mentioned specifically like, hey, this shit is happening really, really fast. Like, his mom didn't go completely blind until like she was completely like in her 30s and had Johan and like all this other stuff. It's happening for him at a much, much faster rate. He's not even 20 yet. So, like, something is happening to him more specifically for it to be acting a lot faster. I don't know if it was, like, literally all the fights that he's been into that's maybe, like, triggered it to happen a lot earlier. Like, you know, anytime he gets hit in the head, he gets, like, concussed or whatever, whatever. You know what I mean? But it's, like, things like that, I have to imagine, is what's, like, made it progress so quickly, so rapidly. Might even make it a point to bring it up in like a future fight. Like, oh, if he gets hit bad enough, he might go blind forever. You know, he might never be able to recover. Well, assuming that he is going to be able to recover. You know what I mean? Like, there's already little to no hope for him as it is, especially because, you know, they already had that big reveal with his mom. You know, like, no matter how much money you have, you can't fix that. Or at least, I don't know if it was because it's too late for her, considering how long she's been dealing with that, or if just, you know, there's no money in the world, you know, that can fix it regardless.
I feel like the latter is true, unfortunately. You got everybody from all over Korea just, like, in one room. The heads of all the massive gangs, from Gangdong, Gangseo, Gangbuk, Gangnam, and even fucking Vasco's in there with Burning Knuckles.
Yeah, I'm surprised that Burn Knuckles or anybody else from that side didn't get invited. Well, I guess because they're not tied to workers like that.
They're not the big crew. They're not the big four.
Yeah,
I would think they are, just because, like, they rule Central.
All the crews that met up worked for workers at one point. That's why they're there.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
that makes sense. It doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't make sense that they were invited, since they do, like, pretty much run Central Seoul.
Mm-hmm.
Was J High considered a crew? No, right?
No, it's just I think it's just Vasco who has, like, the name in the unofficial Burn Knuckles.
Well, Burn Knuckles is a crew that does get recognized.
But it's like a crew in their school.
Other gangs outside of the school know what Burn Knuckles is.
Yeah, but I feel like they're unofficial in the way that, like, there's no, at least from what I remember, that there's no, like, fucking sketchy under sales going on with what's really going with, like, there's no face. Like, Burn Knuckles is just Burn Knuckles. Like, they're just, you get what you see. Like, you get a bunch of fucking knuckleheads.
Like, when we say crew, we're basically referring to everybody as a gang. But the real gangs are those who are in the big four, because they do, like, gang shit. I know that there's more than one kind of crew like that. Like, we did see them within the show. Even that Sinu's gang before, or the original Big Deal, even that was more or less like a crew before it became a gang. You know what I mean? I just think that they should have been more specific when it comes to using that word, because we're trying to refer to two really different types of crowds, of groups. You know, or at least that's the way that I see it in my head. I think of the major three being a gang because they do gang shit, like I said.
Well, it's just different tiers of the gangs. Yeah, like, they're all the same. The only difference is the criminal stuff. Yeah, like main hostel that Eli runs, they're not about that stuff. But the hostel that Ollie Wang ran, they were all about that stuff.
They're just there as I would say more or less as a placebo. Like, he's the heir to it. But if Ollie were alive, they wouldn't worry about Eli. It would be whatever. I think that's how it probably would be for sure if Ollie was still alive.
Finally, during some of this little downtime, we finally see somebody from the high school, and it's Zoe, which I think makes the most sense because she's seeing Fat Daniel all skinny. I just gotta say, I fucking called him, man. She's like, wait a minute, you look so much like Daniel Park. Isn't that crazy? And I'm like, yeah, I wonder why. It's not James Lee, bro. I'm sorry to say, but that was cool. But of course, and then we get I don't think Lookism really has that, the harem level that Viral Hit does. But yeah, we get that coming in with the new girl coming in. He's saying hi. Zoe's getting jealous. And I'm like, all right, cool. We're getting some of this. Get that lightheartedness in there while we still can. And it's also interesting that when we get to her show, they said, oh, King Daniel recommended her. And I'm like, oh, yeah, but when are we going to see him stream again? He complained about the Sophia training. He's like, why'd I get skinny? There was no point of going to the club. And, of course, I didn't like that part. But I'm still curious to see how the reaction's going to be. It's like, what? He's not fat anymore? What is this? It's at this point that I was thinking for Lookism too. I'm like, yeah, we're at that point where this is a long running series, right? We're getting towards 400 chapters. You just have to go through the world, right? I don't think we're going to be seeing Daniel for a while because we have to deal with all this stuff with the workers and these crews. I'm still for it because the world that Pac has built here, it's really good.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of characters. Each character has their own sort of backstory. I like the way he made the stories with each side character. It takes time to sort of build upon the important ones at least. But early on, and it's nice that he remembers. There are still these characters. It's not like Tower of God level where it's like, yeah, remember this guy? Yeah, you saw him a long time ago.
Remember him 200 chapters ago? Yeah, me too.
It's still within the core.
Yeah, it's great, and there's just enough lore to where he could do some callbacks, and it doesn't feel like he forgot about it.
Oh yeah,
right. Like the whole thing with Warren Che coming home, and I forget her name. Sally. That's her name. Yeah, there's that moment with Sally where she's just like, when am I gonna find a guy that likes me as much as which we'll get into with the Zhao Long
and Vivi.
Oh, yeah, and then here comes Warren, and she's just like, oh yeah, there's this fucking guy. Kind of like she doesn't say that, but you could tell that's what she's thinking. And again, you gotta give the shout out to Pac, right? He can make you feel for characters that you kind of really don't feel for or root for, right? With the whole thing how we wrapped up with Zhao Long and Vivi, I was like, oh, you kind of feel bad for Vivi at the end.
I feel bad for them both. It wasn't enough that you got your dick castrated, you got beat up, you got fucking maimed, and you're in wheelchair bound, and now you gotta die for your honor, or for your dishonor. Fuck.
Definitely tragic.
I really hope that he didn't die. I really hope that
he's dead, man. He's either dead or he's just gonna do some Black Ops stuff, or he's in a different country.
Yeah, or he went the way of Sinu and just in exile.
Yeah. No, but I'm pretty sure he's dead. It's obvious. That relationship was never supposed to happen, right? We knew the repercussions during the flashbacks with this stuff as he developed feelings for Vivi and all that. And then just hearing oh, it's Vivi's father that requested this. It's like, oh yeah, he's not making it. But yeah, you feel for a man because Vivi says she's gonna turn a new leaf. She doesn't need drugs anymore because she has Zhao Lung and all that stuff. It's like, damn. I thought we were gonna have a happy moment. That I remembered. Oh, this is Lookism. Yeah. So to me, that says Vivi's story is over. I don't think we'll see her again. Yeah, great stuff out of Lookism. Can't wait to see how intense this meeting is going to end. And also curious to see who the other head of the other branch that Daniel's going to meet eventually is too. So right on, let's move on over to God of High School, chapters 525 to 526, as we have hit what he calls the mid-season break. Because we're at the final moments of the series, right? Finally reunited Mori, Jin, Dawei, and Mira to go and fight Mubong, the last trial for Mori. Everything that's been built up since before the series even started is finally coming to an end. Park stated that, this is a really big thing, and mentally and physically, he just doesn't feel like he could really capture it, so he's just going to be taking a break. And eventually we'll be back to make sure it's the best it can be.
And I feel that, especially after the whole thing with Tower of God, I just, if somebody says for sure I need to take a break at this point, hey man, you do what you got to do. Ain't no love lost. I'm going to be sitting right here. I've already read 500 something chapters in. I'm in it for the long haul at this point. You just do what you got to do. Make it right. Make yourself right.
But yeah, these chapters, really good stuff, tying everything up right before we go to this final fight. I think my favorite moments was between Mori and Ryong, and just finally Mori telling him, like, this is the reason why I did everything in the past. I should have told you sooner. And Ryong accepting it and all that. I was like, oh, it's great.
He's like, finally, you should have done this from the beginning. He's like, he really should have. I just feel like there's just the faults in main characters where it's just like, yeah, you kind of just lacked common sense in that department, when you decided to do that. So, but hey, I mean, now he's got, full power over the complete Dragon Dynasty. And it's weird how Ryong's Dragon Bone is stronger than the primordial dragon. Like his literal dragon rib is just like all like red scale, everything. Like it's like beyond the power pole. It's like 100 times better. And I'm like, is that because, you were like a disciple of Tagatha? Is it like infused with Tagatha's power? So my whole thing is like, because it was infused with Tagatha's power, will it work for him or will it work against him? Anything that kind of already comes from that origin of Tagatha doesn't really seem to work in anybody's favor except for Tagatha himself. I've noticed that.
Yeah, I do think it's because he was a disciple under Tagatha, like when he changed sides. I think that's why it's powerful. Yeah, the way they wrapped up Sohudi stuff too was fine. Just like the final bits and pieces we need to complete Mori's past, like what he really is and all that stuff, was good enough. And then just seeing him transform into Mori Jin form was like, oh yeah, like now he's a big threat. Like even Mubong noticed when he went full transformation a second time.
And he could do that permanent, right? There's no time limit. It doesn't.
Right. Well, he's staying in this form, like, because the last time he mentioned about changing forms was because he wanted to be able to master all the power poles without turning into Mori Jin, just do it as Mori Dan. Yeah, but now for sure he's just going to stick in this form when he gets up there and fights Mubong.
The other thing that I was thinking about was that whole level up analogy that they're always referring to when it comes to him. Like being able to be super powered and still have the ability to like level up as if you were like an early level character or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was the reason why he's also staying in the Mori Dan body, because it's just like basically get some more XP and then go back and then switch back and forth. Or
also to save energy too, right?
Well, yeah, but then the question why I was asking you earlier was if his energy is indefinite now because he has everything. I'm sure that he doesn't have like infinite amount of energy. It is finite, especially because he's been fighting his way up there the entire time. But like when it comes to terms of like exactly how long that fight is going to be, who can say? It could be, hours, it could be minutes, or it can even take fucking days. Like, isn't that what happened with what was it, Iplo? And no, it happened when after they blew up the universe the first time in that monkey planet. Was it Mori was fighting like that alternate universe for like 14 days before Iplo found him.
Yeah,
right. And that was like just immediately after a whole planet got like big banged. So it was like I can imagine like if he's gonna like take the fight out into space that they could be fighting for a while, like a good while. Who knows?
Yeah, the only thing I'm questioning is how long is this fight going to be? Because if he calls it like a mid-season finale, I'm like, well, this season was pretty long. I kind of hope the final fight's not as long as that. So
it feels like it's going to be more than a few chapters for this fight.
It'll probably last like a few months, right?
Yeah.
One key moment I did like too was with Mori just looking at Dawe and Mira and just seeing like, wow, you guys really went through a lot, like noticing Mira doesn't have an arm, Dawe's got the scar in his eye, Mira's missing an eye and all that stuff. That was like a good moment for Mori. He's like, man, it's so much has changed since we last got together, and he's thinking about like the first God of High School tournament 17 years ago that they entered in, and also like them getting the humor in there, right before the final fight was a nice touch. It's like, yeah, they're still old friends. Like nothing has changed between them.
Yeah, it's just it's that reunion that we've been waiting for, and it played out always exactly like they said it would, where it's just like, hey, we're just picking up where we left off, get that final fight, and now all three of them are really about to give it to Mubong because he fucking deserves it.
Yes. Excuse me. Yeah, so patiently waiting to see whenever God of High School is going to come back. If I had to guess, like probably a month break. That's how usually it goes, because it's nothing like he didn't have to forcefully take a break like SIU did. So if it's a scheduled one, I would guess a month, because like even what, like that's what One Piece did during the time skip too, right? Was 1 month.
Do you think the baby is still gonna have anything to do with the final fight? Like, because I just feel like there's so many loopholes,
loose ends,
and both loopholes and loose ends. They're just like. Well, I don't even think that they ended up doing anything with the chalice. I don't think that they ended up doing anything.
They tried the chalice and it didn't work. I don't think the baby will, because they're going to that new planet, and it's not like the baby and what's her name are going to be able to get over there. I'm still willing to bet Mori will probably raise the kid. I think so, because it's like, oh,
or Mori and Nahan.
Yeah, I think he's going to raise him or the kid because. Right, like he's the offspring of Mubong, and I think Mori even said it here that he could see a bit of his past self in Mubong. So, in order to try to, I don't know what the term would be, like not to honor, but like to move forward, like make sure the kid is raised right, to make sure like none of this happens again, or something,
Yeah, look over him. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nah. Was that I'm already thinking of like who like they would ship Mori with as he get older. Whatever happened to that small blonde girl? The one that
what did happen? Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Peach.
To her. Peach, yeah.
Peach.
Poor girl. I like her a lot.
She's not dead, is she? I remember she like.
I'm saying poor girl because she's like what Rumi is to Hoban, to fucking
I'm still rooting Sujin Lee because I think it kind of makes sense. But yeah, Peach would be cool, but I think like Peach was there to introduce that stuff to Mori, and then Park saying like, yeah, Mori is just super oblivious to this stuff, just like Goku and Luffy, right, to a point.
Oh yeah.
Well, right on, guys. That could go ahead and wrap us up for today. We got to figure out. We're going to figure out whether or not we're going to add another webtoon, or we'll just stick with the 3 until God of High School comes back. So we'll let you know on the next webtoon episode. And in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, you can go ahead and send us an email on unversepodcast@gmail.com. We'll be sure to bring those up on the next episode. And then you can follow us on social media at Unverse Podcast anywhere you go.
If you have any recommendations for webtoons, you can also shoot us those too.
There's a lot of interesting webtoons out there, and I would like to expand. So, all right, thank you guys, and we will catch you on the next episode.